Hello and welcome to SHRP Talk, the show by washed-up athletes for washed-up athletes looking to be their best self. On today's episode, I get into my experience of going 12 days without food, why I decided to do a 12-day fast, how I prepared for it, as well as the physical, mental, and spiritual experience of going through that fast. What happened in the body, what happened in the mind, what happened in the spirit throughout those 12 days, just a full breakdown of what I experienced, and then how I ended up eventually breaking the fast and what I ultimately learned from and experienced from that fast. So just a breakdown if you've ever had an interest in long duration fasting, or if you've never even known going 12 days without food was possible. Just hopeful that this is a learning experience for you as it was a learning experience for me, just hearing from my own journey through this and ultimately what fruits came out of this fast, and just hopefully provide encouragement for you to not only learn more about long duration fasting, but to see the benefit in it and even try it out. I'm hopeful this hits home for someone out there, and just realizing how Jesus calls us to fast and how beneficial it truly can be, body, mind, spirit, going through that experience. So hopefully you learned something. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you enjoy. Before we get rolling with today's episode, I want to take a minute to tell you about SHRP Training. Snyder Health, Recovery, and Performance Training is designed for former athletes to improve their physical, mental, and spiritual health. For only $12 a month, you can choose a training plan that is catered to your needs, interests, and goals, with new programs delivered each month through the TeamBuilder app. You'll also receive 24/7 messaging and feedback from coaches, access to an exclusive Discord to continually learn and be encouraged by others, a 20% discount on Thorne supplements, and access to the SHRP Edge, the ultimate guide to upgrading your diet, sleep, and life. Iron sharpens iron, so let us help you become your sharpest self. Now let's go. And we're back with another edition of SHRP Talk, bringing you another solo edition of the podcast. Apologies for missing last week. We've had a pretty good run of putting out episodes pretty consistently every week for, we probably had a 15 to 20 week streak, so had a good run going. But we got Brandon traveling the country, coaching up some hoops, and Jaden wrapped up the academic side of his degree, so shout out to him. So he had some time off, and got to come home for few days, so got to spend some time with him. Just took some time away, and then I myself also took some time away. Actually, we'll get into for kind of the main topic of today's episode, but did my first long duration fast. So did a 12-day water only fast, which I will get into kind of the reasoning and experience behind. Very humbling and rewarding and tough experience, just all sorts of things, as I'll get into, but I'm excited to share a little bit about that, and honestly kind of have debated about sharing about it for a few reasons. I mean, just looking at scripture, so Matthew 6:16, Jesus' Sermon on the Mount talks about fasting. Basically says, don't be like the hypocrites and look like disfigured and tired and fatigued, and basically just bragging about to others that you're fasting, but do it in private so that only God can see it. And so, honestly, I didn't really tell anyone that I was doing it. I don't think anyone found out about it till like 7 or 8 days into it, but just wanted it to be more of a private thing, and just honor that. And even coming out of it, like I don't want it to come across as like braggy or look at me or look what I've done. That's not my intention with that. And I feel like I've had to wrestle a bit with that too, because there is that temptation to brag about things, even if it's something as I don't know, as different as this, but there is still that worldly temptation. So I've had to wrestle with that, but ultimately felt compelled to just share about it, share my experience, just in the hopes, just to kind of highlight what I experienced and kind of the fruits of that fast, the fruits of that experience. Just share kind of what I went through, what I've learned from that, and just hoping that maybe it encourages someone else to maybe take on fasting, whether it's short duration fast, long duration fast, whatever it is. I think it's something that's really not talked about in the church enough. It's something maybe it's been talked about, but not super in depth. It's something I never really saw as an important part of a spiritual practice until, maybe a few months ago, just listening to podcasts and reading books. So I don't know why it's not talked about more, but I think going back to the Sermon on the Mount, it's one of the main things Jesus emphasizes alongside like prayer and giving to others and loving others. Fasting is one of those main points. And he, in that verse I mentioned, Matthew 6:16, says, not if you fast, he says, when you fast. So it's sort of an expectation. And it's not a way to earn God's grace or anything, but it's just a way to draw closer to him and sacrifice for him. And so I think it's important to talk about. We'll get into Louis coming on the podcast and kind of sharing his experience and testimony. And I probably wouldn't have ever tried this out or attempted this if I hadn't heard it from him. And so hopefully, just maybe do the same for someone else and just talk about my experience in the hope of, encouraging someone else to fast. And so hopefully you can listen to this and kind of see what it's like, see that it is possible to go more than a few days without food. Just kind of felt a burden to go through it, burden to share about it. Just excited to hopefully educate others about it and share about my experience. And just, encourage others to be obedient to what Jesus has called us to. So kind of getting into why I ultimately decided to do this. So actually did a couple podcast episodes back to back, actually. So I did a solo podcast. Let me see if I can find the number of that. So episodes 32 and 33 back to back in March. So I did a solo episode talking about kind of the weekly 36-hour fasts I had been implementing and experimenting with. And then not knowing Louis Trinket-Passat was an expert on fasting and even ended up writing a book about it. We got him on just to kind of share his testimony, but he has done multiple long duration fasts, even up to 40 days. I think he's done, in his book, I think he said he's had about 11 fasting journeys of 21 to 40 days. So that kind of humbled me and made my 36-hour fast seem kind of not as extreme, but that was very eye-opening, just realizing that was even possible. There's the mention of fasting in the Bible, Jesus fasts of 40 days, but it's easy to just think of Bible as, kind of something in older times and, question the validity of some things. But those things actually happen, and it's not only possible, it's a huge gift in so many ways to be able to fast that long. So that really opened my eyes and got me intrigued and maybe thinking about trying that out my own someday. And he mentioned his book, The Fast Walk, which dropped a few weeks after that in early April. And so I knew I had to get it to read more, dig into his experiences, see what he walked through. And so read that book as soon as it came out. And it was just super powerful hearing his own testimonies, his own experiences, as well as testimonies of so many others that he's kind of coached and walked through. So first of all, just recommend listening to those 2 episodes, 32, 33, if you haven't and want to hear more about that, kind of the foundation of this. And then also check out his book, which is, I can't recommend it enough, especially if you're wanting to get into it or just learn more about long duration fasting. So, and then, like I said, I was intrigued and thinking maybe about days in the future, like, okay, looking at the schedule, what's going to work best? Where do I not have too many social gatherings or important events where I kind of can work this in? And you kind of realize, especially through reading the book, there's never going to be a perfect time to go into a long duration fast, because life is going to happen. There's always going to be social gatherings, events. There's going to be times where you're surrounded by good food or are busy or can't get off work. And so there's never a good time. And so best piece of advice I can give off the bat is just do it. Just pick a date and go into it. Obviously, some people might need to prepare a little bit and do some things to get ready, and there's some simple things you can do, but there's plenty of testimonies of people just jumping right into it. And so, just kind of picked a date, started May 7, I believe, and I don't know why I picked 12 days, just felt right. Didn't know if I was ready to jump into the full 21 to 40 day experience like Louis recommended, but definitely wanted to go a longer amount. In his book, Atomic Healing or Atomic Power Through Prayer and Fasting, Franklin Hall, he recommends 10 to 40 days, and also a great book I recommend, but just settled on that 12-day mark, and kind of started on May 7. And my goal with that was to just deepen my faith walk, deepen my relationship with Christ, and see why it's so important firsthand after reading those testimonies, the power of physical, spiritual, mental healing power that comes through it. I just knew I had to experience it myself. I felt that that burden placed on me and knew I couldn't shake it off. And so that was kind of the goal. And obviously just a ton of physical healing. That's not the main intent behind it, but I can get into some of that as well. Some really cool sciencey stuff, some healing in the body and mind that takes place through these long duration fasts and when you abstain from food for longer periods. So I knew that was a byproduct as well. And so just kind of a reset, a way to grow in a unique and different way. And like I said, Jesus himself fasted, and we should all strive to be more like Jesus and live like him. And so why not do what he's doing? Didn't quite get to the 40 days, maybe someday, but Jesus fasted. He calls us to fast. And so I knew that just wanting to be obedient and be more like him. And so, like I said, some of those physical benefits that come with it as well. Autophagy being a big one. We've talked about it before on this podcast, but basically the process your body goes through of cleaning up damaged old cells and just replacing it with newer and healthier cells. So not only getting rid of like disease causing cells, dead cells, but also just kind of rejuvenating and gives a more youthful benefit, just a whole reset and kind of de-aging, if you will. So if you're trying to get a little younger body, mind, and soul, then autophagy is huge for that. Some gut healing, obviously it reduces inflammation, insulin sensitivity, basically give yourself a whole new stomach. So if you have like GI issues or any like inflammation issues, struggle with insulin sensitivity, obesity, just a powerful healing and reset that you really can't get from much else other than long duration fasts. And just a immune system reset too, stimulating new white blood cells. So just kind of overhauling all of the body's major important things to keep you healthy and thriving. So just a really cool, again, not the main intention, but a really cool byproduct of that. And so, like I said, there's some prep you can do getting into it, or some people could just launch right into it. Spiritually, like I said, I was ready to go, kind of had a date picked out. Physically, I kind of did like a little dirty bulk beforehand. So just wanted to get the carb and glycogen protein stores up, boost a little bit just to carry me through into the fast a little longer, just for, workout sake and for training, just ability to recover and still put out some good training days during those early days of the fast. So bumped up from, I usually float around 185, and my last day weighed 191.6. My last meal felt like a death row meal a little bit, which we talked about a few weeks ago, but I had some B-dubs, of course, had some 20 boneless parm garlic buffalo dry rub wings with some buffalo dry rub fries, and went to Dairy Queen and got a large double fudge cookie dough blizzard. Not super necessary, maybe not exactly beneficial going into a fast, but I didn't really care. Like I said, it felt like a death row meal a little bit, and so just wanted to go out with a bang. And so felt pretty terrible after that, ready to get away from food a little bit after that, but definitely enjoyed myself. And so also just supplement wise, want to make sure I was ready. So electrolytes, super important for this long a fast, especially, like I said, wanting to still work out. And so I have a Relight electrolyte powder. It's basically like Element, if you ever heard of that, but non-flavored. It's basically just potassium, magnesium, sodium, all the major electrolytes to keep basically your cells functioning without any of that coming through food. So had that ready to go. And then also a little bit different brand of magnesium. I have magnesium pills, but they have like rice flour or just other stuff to keep it encapsulated. Just to play it safe. Didn't want to get out of that fasting state. Maybe a little overkill, but got a different form of magnesium glycinate to take before bed, just to, again, bump up the magnesium stores a little bit, but also helps with sleep. I take it in general all the time, but just a little boost there. And then, I was pretty much ready to go from a physical standpoint. So kind of break this up, kind of share about the physical experience, the mental side, as well as the spiritual side throughout the 12 days. So the physical side, like I said, so no food at all, only consumed water every day. So about 120 fluid ounces. So I have a 40-ounce water bottle. So would do that for 3 times a day. I would go through 40 ounces during my morning workout. I would throw some Himalayan salt in there just to get some extra sodium. So a few pinches of that, and then 80 ounces the rest of the day. So 2 more bottles full. And then I'd put that Relight powder, a scoop in each of those, which got really old by the end of the fast. And doing it again, I might need to figure out a little different strategy to not get that old. I think Louis recommends like distilled water. I just used tap water, which may be why, but just figure out something to make that taste a little better. But definitely kept the body feeling good going through it, especially working out again. I took magnesium, like I said, a little extra dose before bed. And then I also did 10 grams of creatine a day just to, again, keep those levels high for training. Again, not getting any from food. It doesn't have any calories, just a way to keep the creatine stores high in the body, and even for the brain health, just to keep those high. Did some digging into that and figured out that was fine. So continued taking creatine through that. Otherwise, nothing else. Some people do like coffee or bone broth or like natural flavorings, but I just chose to stay away with that. There's some stuff you can do for sure, but I didn't want to go. I just wanted to kind of cut out everything. Even debated doing some caffeine during it, but ultimately just decided to stay away from that, which was a really good call in the end, which I'll kind of get to. But so basically just water, electrolytes, creatine throughout the 12 days. And days 1 through 3 were pretty tough, and honestly, that's where a large majority of long duration fasts fail, especially if you've never done it before, is during those first 3 days after just reading into it and experiencing it. That's where definitely some headaches, especially if you habitually take some caffeine, just not taking that, as well as some little bit of dehydration and maybe just some irritability from not having food or caffeine, and kind of comes in waves throughout those 3 days. Like I felt pretty prepared just because of the 36-hour fast I've done. So first day wasn't bad because I kind of knew what to expect and how hunger kind of comes in waves, kind of feel it around your meal times. And it's triggered by, so hunger, what you feel is triggered by ghrelin, kind of the hunger hormone, spikes around mealtime. So kind of, yeah, especially during those first 3 days, really feel it during meal times, the stomach rumbling, as well as just the mental side of like, okay, this is your time to eat. Why are you not eating right now? And just kind of fighting through that. And so just got to kind of battle through those first 3 days and just realize it's going to be tough getting out of your routine and taking on that hunger, that irritability, that headaches, but it's just part of it. And I'll get into it once you get past that. It's much smoother sailing from there. But yeah, by day 4, hunger had mostly disappeared. So kind of day 4 and 5, body continually shifts more and more into ketosis. So your glycogen stores, basically your carb stores, get fully depleted. So your body can't run on those carbs or glycogen anymore. So it's running purely on fat. So great fat burning source, fasting obviously, but from days 4 on, your body is fully running in ketosis, running fully on your fat and using fat on fuel. It's not going to take muscle for fuel at all until like, that's when like starvation happens. And that's, I mean, I'm a little, relatively to like testimonies I read, a little lighter and much lower body fat than most people do it. So for me, that'd probably happen, maybe day 40 or beyond, but for a lot of people it can go 50, 60 days. I believe the longest fast on record is 382 days by a very overweight man, but body ran purely on fat for 382 days, no food, and got down to like 160 or 180 pounds. So you can go a long time depending on your body fat and body weight, but your body's running fully on those fat stores. And it's just a efficient energy source for like the brain and body. And with training, or staying active, I'm a bit of a psycho. So I still trained every day through it, which maybe wouldn't recommend for everyone, but did a lot of research into it and was pretty well prepared going into it. And so still did my normal training split, kind of alternating upper, lower body, just dialed back the volume and intensity big time. So didn't do more than 5 reps for anything, just kind of basic movements my body was familiar with, nothing too crazy, just good range of motion, focusing on mobility, still loading up a decent amount, maybe getting up to 70, 80%, like when I am at the highest, and still felt surprisingly good through that, but didn't want to push it beyond. Still walked about 30 minutes a day. I do like 2 15-minute walks or 3 10-minute walks. If you're not working out, probably recommend walking more than that just to keep your body feeling good, retain muscle, and especially if we work out a lot, just stay decently active. So even walking 1 to 2 hours if you're not working out. But I was still working out for at least an hour every day and walking on top of that, just to stay moving throughout the day. And still golfed a ton, almost every day, and honestly felt really good on the golf course. Still driving about, or like hitting the ball the same yardage, so I didn't have to adjust yardages or anything, which I was kind of worried about, but honestly felt totally normal and good while golfing. So that was really cool to experience. And so some things kind of suffered with So like body, the CNS, central nervous system, and like power output, a lot of that is based on your glycogen stores. So it comes from those carbs. And by the time day 3, day 4, those were depleted, definitely some things suffered quite a bit. So like cardio, I didn't get out of, I stayed in like zone 1, zone 2. So 110 to 140 beats per minute, kind of more steady state, or like 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Didn't get too crazy with that, but didn't have much drive or push there to go higher than that, which kind of expected. And then like plyometrics, I kind of kept it smooth, or like sprinting, just kind of kept it smooth, but didn't really have much to give there either. Or like super high loads, I pushed it a little bit, maybe too much to the edge a few times, and just didn't have much beyond, one or two or three reps, especially for those main movements. But honestly, mostly everything else, like I said, felt pretty good, like strength wise, range of motion wise, and really recovered pretty well, just because growth hormone just spikes a crazy amount, like higher and higher and higher as you go, just to retain your muscle. So especially during sleep. So growth hormone levels get insanely high. Like I could be misquoting that, but up to like 500% higher than normal. So that's kind of what helps you retain your muscle and help you recover. And so I can't say I really experienced soreness at all throughout it. And part of that was from dialing it back, but I was worried I was going to be getting sore quite a bit throughout it. But honestly, felt really good recovery wise, and was able to, just continue working out through it. And obviously the motivation and stuff wasn't always there. It was kind of more so just kind of get through it, just maintain. Some days I didn't have energy, but it was also a great time to just worship or listen to worship music and allow that to carry me through. And so that was just a cool time to worship and just get closer to God through working out, instead of like listening to podcasts or contemporary music. It really didn't like satisfy me like normal, I guess. So just a good time to lean on worship music and use those moments for worship. So that was a good experience and kind of helped me carry through. Then, like I said, the body is in ketosis by that 72-hour mark, so kind of just relied on that for fuel. So decent like endurance, but again, just not a whole lot of pop or zip, if you will. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, just overall surprised how good I felt. My joints felt really good. I was worried, like still doing some pounding jumps and stuff, that like my knees would get really sore, but honestly I've come out of it even feeling better, just because part of that fasting, reducing inflammation, I think helped out quite a bit from maybe just some lingering inflammation from training for so long. And so honestly, like knees feel great, back feels great, joints feel great in general. So yeah, if you're dealing with joint pain too or inflammation, definitely recommend longer fasts like this. But some other physical things, I talked about like how low my heart rate gets during those fasting days, and this definitely carried throughout the fast. I'd say my average resting heart rate throughout the 12 days was like right around 40 or just under, like 38 to 40, and that's waking resting heart rate. During sleep, it would get as low as like 33 to 35. So body is totally in a parasympathetic nervous state. So, which honestly really good for me as well. No caffeine and not processing food, so the body just gets super relaxed. And doing that for 12 days has to be super healthy for the system. Just calming the body, reducing cardiovascular strain, and yeah, just a good reset. And honestly, that's carried through these early days of breaking the fast. I'm 5 days out of it by now, and my resting heart rate still the last few days has been pretty low. So maybe something that'll carry forward going forward. That's kind of with ramping up training and ramping up caffeine a little bit, but that's kind of been surprising to see as well. Sleep was actually pretty solid overall. I was worried about that as well. And I know that happens for sure with longer fasts. Your body just doesn't need to sleep as long because it's not recovering from processing food and training as hard. So actually slept really quite well, just because, again, heart rate super low, body super relaxed. So maybe woke up a little earlier than normal some days, but overall, sleep was really solid. And then kind of some other weirdish things like side effects. Your tongue gets this like white tongue coating, which is totally normal uh, into the fast, but started seeing that like day 9 more so, just from your body, that body being in ketosis, but also just the body detoxing in so many ways. So there's some serious detoxing that goes on through obviously not as many bowel movements during a fast. I think I maybe had 2. Sorry if that's TMI, but obviously the body's not processing food. But detoxing kind of happens through like urine or sweat or like pores in the body. So which can seem a little much, but it's just the body's healing process, and part of that is that tongue getting that coating with it. So that was super interesting. I kind of knew what to expect, so it didn't throw me for a loop, but just kind of a weird feeling. And then I felt like days 9 through 12 also like really cold, like metabolism obviously not as high, body fat's way lower, so body can't stay as warm, so metabolism dropped a lot, and reduced, like body's not processing food, so it was really cold. It was hard to stay warm, so warm showers helped a fair amount. And so kind of just dealt with that. And then like standing up, basically every time I stood up, I would stand up too quickly sometimes, but basically those last few days would black out pretty much every time I stood up, and that's kind of part of it. So I just got to sit up or hold on to something after you stand up, but I'd forget about it sometimes and just have to gather myself for like 20 seconds. So that's kind of part of it. Also had that, I did a trap bar deadlift one of the days and probably went a little too heavy. It was definitely blacking out toward the ends of those sets. So yeah, probably wasn't very smart. So decided to cut that, but you learn through experience. You learn the hard way. Overall, weight loss. So like I said, started at 191.6 and got down to 172.6. So lost 19 pounds. Pretty much all fat loss, but also like some water and glycogen depletion from that. Normally the muscle in the body stores water and glycogen, but those get depleted. So some weight loss comes through that. But yeah, lost probably 15 good pounds of fat. And honestly, I thought I'd kind of shoot up pretty quickly, but it's day 5 and I weighed 174 this morning. So I'm not in a rush to put that back on super fast. I think that'll just come with getting back into training harder and, again, eating more calories. But if you're looking to lose fat, again, obviously shouldn't be the main intention, but definitely a great byproduct of that. So yeah, lost 19 pounds overall, which kind of was a little more than I was expecting. But like I said, I'm usually 185. So I guess if you look at it that way, it was only like 12 or 13 pounds, which is a little more normal. But that's kind of weight loss wise what happened. And then I kind of hit on some of those physiological but deeper healing benefits out of obviously dealing with autophagy, immune system reset, helping the body become helping with insulin sensitivity, which carries on even through the fast. So how you react to higher carb foods, body just becomes much better at responding to those and just aiding in overall metabolic health. And like I said, just a great gut reset without the stomach processing food, just a way to reset, allow the stomach to heal, allow the microbiome to rebalance a little bit. So physical side, that's kind of what the experience was. Now getting into the mental experience, like I said, I kind of already hit on how those first 3 days are tough. There's with the headaches, brain's kind of foggy, irritability from seeing good food or food commercials or social media and knowing you can't eat it. And honestly, the first 3 days, all I could keep thinking about was that end date that I had picked out, that 12th day, like May 19, whatever it was, May 20. Like it was hard. Like that's all I kept thinking about. And definitely the longest 12 days of my life. I will say that, but I think it just teaches you patience, delayed gratification, and once you, especially through those first 3 days, just learn how to stay busy and just distracting yourself with either like hobbies or activities, or just going into it with prayer and just asking God for help and guidance through it, because those earthly things just bring you less and less comfort as you go through it, whether that's social media, exercise, TV, whatever it is. It's just, it can distract you, but it's not going to bring you comfort. And so I just really learned just to rest in the Lord and be comfortable with that, which really got me through it. If I didn't have my faith and was just doing it, I mean, it'd be much, much harder to get through, and don't know if I can. But in those moments of weakness and irritability, just an opportunity to go to God in prayer. And I think that's just a good lesson for beyond the fast, just praying throughout the day and staying in communication with God throughout the day. So, like I said, first 3 days, tough from mental standpoint, but just teaches you all the good things that sports do: discipline, mental toughness, patience, all that stuff. And so I knew I could do it, and just stuck the course. And like I said, was well prepared just from doing those weekly fasts, but it's hard to prepare for those first 3 days, what that's like. So once I got through that, honestly, like I said, your body switches into ketosis like 72-hour mark. So by day 4, ketones are really good for the brain when the body's running on fat. And I had read antidotes like just super good mental clarity and thinking and kind of that brain fog going away. And I definitely experienced that. Ketones like neuroprotective and promote focus. And I felt like I was dialed in, like work and just thinking clearly, like reading the Bible, whatever it is, journaling, like just felt like I was thinking more clearly than a lot of times when your brain is processing food, like that affects your ability to think and to process effectively. And so just a lot of, mental clarity by day 4, which only gets stronger throughout the fast, as well as just like sharper cognition, peace, calm, sometimes almost like too much so, especially because it's crazy how much free time you get when you're not eating, prepping, cooking meals, going on walks after meals and thinking about food. There's so much free time that is created. And so definitely some boredom that comes with that. And sometimes I just wanted to not do anything at all, and just really learn to listen to the body. Learn to listen to my body from a physical standpoint with training, for sure. Just like knowing when to not push it too hard, knowing when I can push it a little bit. So definitely helped learn how to listen to my body from physical standpoint, but also mental side, just being able to take that time to, whether it's taking a nap or just chill out, do nothing, just learning how to be calm, and again, just be just satisfied with being in the presence of God. And that's all you learn, that's all you need. So definitely a good byproduct of that. And there's still cravings that go through it, and you realize that hunger is so much more psychological than it is like physical. Like you don't need food for days and days, weeks, like I mentioned, even months for some people. And so, you realize like, you think about like, oh, I'm so hungry. I need to eat something, but cravings are so environmental, and it helps to obviously set yourself up in a good environment where you're not surrounded by even food in general, but good food as much as possible. Just because cravings are so psychological, we want to, when we're bored, get up and go look in the fridge or the pantry, and snack on something when you're bored. But you learn to just, that's just like ingrained in us to do, but it's not something you have to get into, and it kind of gets you out of that. And so I think that's been a really good byproduct too. But yeah, you learn what hunger actually is and how it doesn't have a hold of you, especially as it physically kind of goes away throughout those 12 days. And it's just more of a mental thing than anything. So breaking free of that, especially if you have a bad relationship with food, even if you're healthy, even if you have good eating habits overall or in good shape. I think just in our era today where we have so much access to food and we have the ability to snack and eat throughout the day, we just don't need that. And it's healthy to give your body a break through like intermittent fasting or just eating less meals. And so I think that's been a good lesson as well. Yeah, just other good lessons, like I said, mental resilience, patience, learning to be patient, like I said, through a long 12 days, and definitely things that will carry throughout the fast, breaking attachment to food, breaking the attachment to mindless snacking, eating out of boredom. And yeah, just that free time and just being able to just be content in what you have, and just really gives you a sense of gratitude beyond the fast. I've been so grateful for every meal I get to eat, even the ones that are, kind of as boring. I think I was complaining on here a few weeks ago about like eating the same ground beef every meal, and just been more grateful for that, and just grateful for the good foods I get to eat and put in my body every day. So just a lot of gratitude. I would say that's one of the biggest takeaways I've gotten out of it. Just gratitude for the things I take for granted every day. Not just food, but caffeine, being able to be healthy and train at a decently high level still. Just so many things that get put in perspective when you strip away everything else. Like food is our fourth most basic need beyond like water, sleep, and air. Like we'd all die much sooner without any of those things, but food's kind of that fourth thing that we absolutely need to survive. And when you take away such an essential need like that, again, it kind of strips away all your other idols and things you lean on. And you, yeah, again, just learn to be content in God and what you have. And so, yeah, I just can't recommend it enough from a mental standpoint. And then getting more into the spiritual side, like I said, in that Matthew 6:16-18, Jesus talks about fasting and expecting us to fast and how it's a normal thing. He expected his disciples to fast, not while he was with them, but after he had gone. He expected them to continue fasting, expected us to fast. And throughout Scripture, there's plenty of examples of people fasting when seeking healing, whether that's physical or emotional, mental healing, clarity, or some sort of breakthrough for themselves or a loved one. And so just so many antidotes through, again, Louis' book and also Franklin Hall's various books on fasting. Just crazy, especially like longer fasts, just healing, revivals, cancers being removed, just generational like iniquities being stripped away. Just some deep stuff that can only happen through fasting and prayer. Like Franklin Hall mentions how like prayer by itself is powerful, but combining fasting with prayer increases the power like tenfold, 1,000-fold. Unbelief gets shaken, and you learn how to pray more deeply and with more belief. So I really kind of went into that knowing that was a real possibility. Just having that clarity and healing and breakthrough with, some things I wanted to focus on. So just, again, like I said, there's so much time freed up. So I just was able to spend so much time in the mornings just getting in the Word and journaling and praying more deeply without feeling like I was in a rush to get anywhere. And then also just praying throughout the day, again, in those moments of weakness, but also those moments of like gratitude that I hit on. So just, very powerful from a spiritual side and relationship with God, where you learn how to connect with Him when everything else kind of gets stripped away, like I said earlier. And that doesn't mean that it was always like that. There was definitely times of like frustration or where I felt distant from God or questioning why I was doing this or like wondering if He's really there. But it's kind of comes and goes and in waves, and you just learn to rely on Him and not doubt anymore and just trust in His goodness and that He'll carry you through. And He carried me through like He always does, and just develop a deeper relationship through it. So there's so many verses on like suffering and going through hard things. And as Christians, we're called to a life of discomfort and suffering in a sense. We shouldn't be comfortable all the time. And I definitely have a life of comfort, and this is a great way to kind of get out of that routine, that comfort, relying on, stripping idols away. Like exercise and caffeine are awesome, awesome things, but there's times, and that really revealed to me even more through the fast, where I rely on it for happiness and to just have a good day. And on days that I don't have those things, my days are significantly worse, but that shouldn't be how it is. I should just be able to be content each day, knowing who I am, knowing who God created me to be, and knowing I have a relationship with Him. That should be all I need. It shouldn't be the things of this world that I lean on. And that was kind of revealed to me through that, to just not lean on the things of this world, even the good things, but also the bad things. For anyone who has dealing with any addictions or idols, sickness, whatever it is, whatever you're dealing through or clinging to in this world, when that gets stripped away, whenever you learn to not be able to rely on that, and just rest in Him, I think that's super powerful, and your idols really do get stripped away. So if you feel like there's an idol in your life, an addiction in your life, you just can't quite shake, then I can't recommend this enough. And that was really revealing to me, and something I'll definitely, hope to carry through, especially just hoping to incorporate fasting going forward, just using that as a reminder to not lean on the things of this world for comfort or strength. Not to say that they're bad, but not using them as a replacement for God, and just being content in Him. Through that free time, like I said, so much more time getting into the Word. I heard a podcast talking about Bible study, and just someone recommending the ESV Bible with kind of like study notes. And so I ended up purchasing that and just kind of digging more into Scripture and really getting the background into what I'm reading with the historical context, as well as like translations for trickier verses or what they actually mean by that. So that's something I'll definitely carry through with using that study Bible, just taking time to not check off just getting in the Word every day, but really just, it can be hard to read. I know we can all probably relate to that. There's books of the Bible that are hard to read, passages that are hard to read, but having a tool like that to kind of break things down, and getting the historical context is big for me, just helping to picture it and understand why these things were being said. So just taking that time to read through the verses and truly understand them will definitely be something to carry through. I had time to like journal, which I do occasionally, but did that more consistently. And like I said, I had so much more time, and something that I think it was Adam Weber at Embrace, shout out to Embrace, but there was a challenge one morning to just like look at your life and look at the life of Jesus and see where the similarities and differences exist. And so because I had all that free time, there was a morning I took like an hour and a half to just in different ways just look at, okay, where am I modeling my life after Jesus in ways, and where am I just totally falling short, and everything in between. And that was a really powerful exercise, just being able to take that time and think clearly, not have any distractions, and just get into that. And that's something I'll definitely carry through, those takeaways and things to work on, because that's ultimately what our goal should be, is to be more like Jesus and love more like Jesus. And I think through that exercise, I can't recommend that enough for anyone, but to go through that, take the time to go through that. And I don't know if I would have taken the time to do that on just a regular day where I'm more rushed and don't have time and just want to get to the gym. Like, I probably wouldn't have taken an hour and a half to do that, but it was just through that free time, being able to do things like that and other journaling and reflecting was super powerful. And I've started memorizing scripture more, taking the time to do that. That was kind of revealed to me through that exercise. Like, Jesus quoted scripture all the time, the Old Testament all the time. And that's something I've never really done, is memorize scripture, but I think that's super powerful, having things to pull from when you're going through a scenario or thinking about how to respond in a given situation. There's so much scripture that speaks to these things, and being able to reflect on that yourself, but also share it with someone else. If someone asks you for advice or what you think of something, being able to just pull straight from a Bible verse from your head and like actually know what it means and know it word for word, that's such a powerful thing. So I've started doing that more and want to continue carrying that through. But again, I don't know if that would have been revealed to me or if I would have taken the time to do that in the busyness of life, to start memorizing scripture, passages of scripture like that. But definitely something I want to keep carrying through as well. And then like worship through it. Like I said, I hit on worshiping during working out, but again, having that free time, just not being in a rush, and just sometimes when you don't know what to pray, what to journal, don't know what else to do, how to spend time with Jesus, there's not really rules for doing that. Sometimes just pop on some of your favorite worship music and just listen to the words of that and just spend time with Jesus that way. Learning how to worship and just being still or singing it out. I think that's a great way to spend time with Jesus as well. If you don't know what else to do, whether it's sitting in your car or driving or working out or just bored, just really learning how to worship and being content in that and using that for comfort and growing closer to God. And just like I hit on earlier, just developing gratitude, again, not just for the food that I get to eat every day, like every meal, just had so much gratitude for, something you take for granted, but seeing how much of a gift food is, the people I have, the gifts I've been given, just deeper gratitude in all areas of life, just do that fast. And again, just having that huge basic needs stripped away, it just makes you realize how blessed you really are, and that definitely carries through. So, and then like fear of man, fear of what other people think, you realize, that stuff just doesn't matter when everything else gets stripped away. You realize like my worth is rooted in God and not others' opinions, what they may think of me. And so there's some like fearlessness and courage that gets developed through that can't really come from anywhere else or any other exercise. Again, when those things get stripped away, it's just unbelief gets shaken, and you just really lean into your identity when you don't have much else to lean on. And so I think that's something that'll carry through as well. So yeah, that was kind of my experience overall from various aspects. Again, one of the longer 12 days I've ever experienced, very tough in many ways, but also very rewarding in many ways. So technically it was like a 12 and a half day fast. So the morning of the 20th, broke it with actually, we had communion at church that Sunday and didn't partake in that, but it was kind of in the little cup and the little bread. So took that to go and was able to break the fast with communion, which was really cool. Definitely a different type of communion that I've experienced, but definitely hit home and was, not that it isn't always meaningful, but definitely hit home a little bit harder that time. Just, breakfast is breaking a fast, and that's kind of what that meal was, breaking the fast and just being able to spend time with Jesus in that way and taking communion and just gratitude that comes through that, and did some bone broth, a few pieces of fruit as well through that first day. Louis, I think in his book, recommends however long the fast is, taking that many days to get back to normal. So if it's a 12-day fast, taking 12 days to get back into it. I think that's kind of conservative, and maybe if you're have had like stomach issues in the past or obesity or insulin problems in the past, but I mean, I'm a pretty healthy dude, so I've taken it a little quicker. I think I'm on day 5 and eating pretty normal by now. Pretty much today's my first day back in my full routine, so just kind of gradually work things in. There's some big things to avoid those first days, like veggies, which I don't do a lot of anyway, so wasn't too concerned with that. But he recommends like fruit juices, but I just did whole fruits, so did a lot of that. Avoided like high fat meats. I didn't do beef the first few days, didn't do bacon first few days, didn't do too many like nuts or anything. Waited a little bit on actually did yogurt pretty early into it. I think maybe that first night or that next morning did a little bit of yogurt, but basically just a gradual transition into adding more calories, adding more protein, adding more carbs throughout it, and getting back to a normal diet. So shout out to ChatGPT. ChatGPT was super helpful with that. But basically, yeah, just being cautious right away, kind of using those first 2 days. There's that temptation to, eat a big meal as a reward after it, or eat your favorite treats. But breaking the fast is kind of a big test as well, and just being patient through that, and taking that patience you learn through the fast and be patient beyond it as well. So just taking the time, allowing the gut to wake back up, the new stomach to wake back up and process those foods. So just ease back into it. Getting those glycogen stores replenished, and worked out this morning and felt pretty normal for the first time. And so be exciting to ramp back up. I haven't, you kind of, training gets monotonous even for me as often as I switch it up, but now I'll kind of have the experience to, it's almost like starting up after the season when you're not training very hard, and then you kind of get to make a bunch of progress. It's kind of where I'm at. So it's honestly really reinvigorating, exciting, being able to train hard again and being able to see the progress of stacking up some weights after losing it a little bit and put some muscle on. And just a lot of gratitude with that. It felt good today, and overall just feel pretty awesome in general, like physically, mentally, spiritually, just a great reset. Can't recommend it enough, and just feel great and blessed in so many ways. Just got like a brand new body, reinvigorated in a lot of ways, and so it really is a gift in so many ways, just like from the spiritual side, but like the physical side, just diving more into it. Like that's kind of like a lot of free time I spent reading as well, and reading more about fasting, and just like not only seeing some awesome testimonies, but also just learning more about the science behind it and what's going on in the body during this period, and just stuff you can't get anywhere else. The internal healing that comes through it, and just the resetting. So it's a gift in so many ways, and this will definitely be something I continue doing, and definitely want to aim for Louis' recommendation of getting beyond, getting to like 21 to 40 days. And he recommends eventually hunger comes back. So when your body gets into starvation mode more and starts taking muscle, that's kind of when you're supposed to break the fast. And some people that's like day 23, some it's like day 35, some will go as like high as 50 or 60. So I think now that through this experience, I think I'm ready to take on maybe a little longer challenge next time, but we'll see what happens. I think maybe something good to do probably once or twice a year. So I don't know what that'll look like for me going forward. Probably need some time to get the body fat up before I try that again, or I'm not going to make it very long. But yeah, definitely something I want to continue to do just because I've seen firsthand the benefits that come with it. And Louis talks about in his book, but a lot of the fruits come beyond the fast. So I'm excited to see how even beyond the fast, how I grow physically, mentally, and spiritually beyond that as well. And just continue leaning into that, continue leaning into the fruits of the fast and the lessons learned from that. So definitely something I plan to continue doing. And again, can't recommend it enough for anyone else or for everyone else to, whether you believe in Jesus or not, to incorporating fasting, because if nothing else from the physical healing that comes from it, but if you have unbelief or doubts about Jesus or just want to get closer to him, can't recommend it enough from a spiritual standpoint, whether it's a 1 day or a weekly fast or 3 days, 12 days, 40 days. God sees your heart. He, Matthew 6:18, he talks about how, or 17 and 18, he talks about how, don't let others see your fasting, but your Father sees you, even though he's unseen, and he will reward you. He will give you gifts. He will grow you spiritually and help you grow closer to him in ways that you can't get through much else than through long duration fasting and prayer. And so can't recommend it enough to just try it out. Break free from the bondage of food or addictions or idols, whatever you're experiencing, and just challenge yourself with taking away the comforts of the world and just leaning into that time, allowing yourself to sacrifice and grow closer to him. And just encourage you with that. And if I can encourage you in any way, if you have any questions about how to prepare, how to get through it, how to train through it, what you need to supplement with through it, I'm certainly not an expert. I've done this once, but I've at least experienced it and have read into it a ton, and would love to just encourage you in any way to go through it and kind of guide you through it, even during it, just giving you that encouragement. I know, like I said, it's more of a private thing, but I think fasting as a group is a super powerful thing, and there's so many anecdotes of revivals that have come through group fasting through the Bible and outside of the Bible. So yeah, if you need any encouragement or have questions, please do reach out. I think it'll change your life, and I would love to just come alongside you and guide you in any way I can, and that's a big reason why I'm doing this. So yeah, just can't encourage you enough. If you have any questions about my own experience or want to try it out yourself, I'm here for you. So reach out. But yeah, appreciate you tuning in and just getting a glimpse into this and hearing me out. But yeah, hopefully got you curious and got kind of an in-depth look into what it's like. So your turn, go out and try it out and let me know what happens. So we'll be back next week, hopefully with the brothers back in tow. But yeah, appreciate you tuning in. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a rating, review, or tell a friend to check us out. Be sure to follow us at SHRP_training for more content to help you be your best self. Go be great today.